Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I was just reflecting on how can we be able to demystify this AU bribery claim. First and foremost, it demonstrates the so-called Raila-philia against Raila-phobia, meaning that Raila is this kind of man that those who love him so much. Likewise, those who hate him with such deep hatred that this becomes competition between the Raila haters and the Raila lovers, philia and phobia. So for that matter, those who love him, whenever Raila wants something, they try so hard to make Raila get it, that even if he does not get him, it ends up being in Mandamano. But those who hate him work so hard not only disappoint Raila himself, but also disappoint those who love him. Like, for example, those who love Raila to get AUC, they are working on it so hard. Equally, those trying to get Raila, make Raila not to get AUC, are also working so hard to the point of even being able to generate some propaganda about it. And let me tell these people, please let Baba be. You might have not liked what he did somehow, someday, on some way, but that does not mean you carry this hatred to AUC. If Raila get AUC, there's nothing you lose. Maybe even there's nothing you'll gain if he doesn't get. Some of us have faced some of those challenges. I was in ODM. I wanted to become the MP of Ugenya. I believe I was very popular on the ground, but I never got the ticket from Raila. That does not mean hatred. I believe there is something he knew, maybe that I didn't know, or there's something he wanted to achieve, maybe that I didn't know, or maybe there's something I didn't know that they knew. So we leave it at that. Hatred does not take us anywhere. So again, let Baba become AUC chair so that he can actually cement his authority as being one of the eminent persons in Africa, leader that can be able to be relied upon. He's an elder. The second thing is that this very claim tell us two things. What are these tell us? So some people wants to send a message that Raila has. Some people want to send a message that Raila has to bribe to become AUC. Raila cannot win legitimately an election, which has been the narrative which has been propelled here for long, that he's a serial loser. And let me tell those people who are trying to propagate this narrative that facts go against them. Because if Raila Odinga wanted to become president of Kenya by bribery, he could have been president in 2007, he could have been president in 2013, he could have been president in 2017. In fact, also he could have been president in 2022 if claims for bribery for IBC and Supreme Court did anything to go by. So that cannot work. Secondly, which is the only statement here that makes a little bit of more sense, the statement that Ruto was the one to bribe AUC chair candidate Mohamud on behalf of Raila, that is the one that mostly looks more reasonable, just because of the fact that there are some things which make sense here. That AUC presidents, the president of African Union, they take money. It's amazing that they do take money. In fact, they might have been looking for this election being in 3 years' time so that they can make money, because the election cycle is 5 years for presidents, but 3 years for AUC. Maybe so that at least somebody gets to get this money in the 3 years, in the 5 years they're in power, when this one is going for 3 years. And that's why there are 2 years renewable, so that they can make this money. But I also want to say the other fact is that when Amina Mohamed was contesting, the first election, Amina Mohamed was the leading candidate. But a plane landed from France in Addis Ababa, and that plane carried money in dollars. And these people took money, and then the voting went opposite Amina Mohamed. So we can see these things are actually reasonable. Now, this time when Chinese have interest, will China land a plane? America, with Trump coming into power, I don't think they bother. And when Americans are not interested, the British are not interested either. So it seems that this is just going to be France versus William Ruto, if at all bribery is anything to go by here. For Mohamud, also, why this makes sense is that Mohamud's brother is running for an election in Djibouti against the sitting president. So first, it might make sense for him to step down so that the president can support, so that his brother can have a free hand to run for election. And then secondly, if at all is to be bribed 6 billion shillings, 6 billion shillings is enough to win an election in Djibouti. Djibouti is a small country. If he has 6 billion shillings and gives his brother, it's better that he steps down and helps his brother win the election, because that will be a game changer. And as it stands, let me tell you what, I've also done the calculation and found out that it's actually better to take the money if at all is offered than not. But then secondly, why should someone bribe using 6 billion shillings just to win an election anyway? Because what I've done research and found out that the AUC chair earns 15,776 shillings, 75 cents dollars. US dollars 15,576 75 cents, which translates to 2.4 million shillings per month. For the 3 years of tenure, if you calculate it, it ends up to a total of 86.4 million Kenya shillings for the 3 years. So why should someone pay 6 billion for a salary of a total salary of 3 years, where you're giving somebody a one-off, not even for 3 years, one-off of 6 billion, and you are only going to take home 8.4 million shillings? What is it worth? The other question asked differently, why would someone turn down 6 billion shillings when the AU salary is only 86.4 million Kenya shillings cumulatively? So this can only be a lie. It can only be a gamble. But if what these claims are true, what is in for William Ruto that is willing to pay 6 billion shillings to send Raila to AU? Raila must be the most expensive person to get rid of in this world. There is no one who has ever been paid 6 billion shillings to disappear. But if Ruto thinks that this is his grand plan to send Raila to AU so that he can get a Luo vote, let me tell him I'm very sorry that this will not happen. Because Luos don't belong to Raila Odinga. And I also want to tell him that not only one mother in Luo Nyanza went to maternity. There are several mothers that went for maternity. So they have sons and daughters who can contest against William Ruto in 2022 and win. And I want to tell you that we are thinking that way, that if Baba goes, we are going to have a candidate in Luo Nyanza. And that candidate will give the Luo nation alternative leadership, not just in Luo Nyanza, but also nationally. But that leader will also be able to cut across coast, west, and the rest, because that leader already very highly acceptable. That alternative leadership, Serikali Mbadala, will transform Kenya, will transform this coastal region, will transform Western Kenya forever, and for the first time we shall have a head of state outside Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, probably. But if that is not the case, then what I'm trying to tell you, even if we don't get a candidate from Luo Nyanza, then even that arithmetic will not work, because the only way to bring Luos into a government is to offer them services, put bread on their table, ensure that the education system works, guarantee livelihoods for them, be able to ensure that you guarantee their comfort, and also ensure that you invest in their development, which is their future. Thank you.